I had to describe our season in one word, the word would be excitement. I feel this year our football team brought back excitement into the community, into our school, into our parish. So I guess excitement would have to be a pretty good word to describe this season.
Week 1, Hahnville versus Abramson. A muffed opening kickoff was just a sign of things to come for Abramson. The Tiger defense frustrated the Commodores all night, while Hahnville's balanced attack moved up and down the field at will. The Hahnville offensive machine got into gear with a 20-yard Keller to Boyle pass. A few plays later, on a 16-yard keep left, Keller struck pay dirt to give Hahnville a 7-point lead. But Abramson began to drive down the field, flexing a few muscles of their own. But a fourth down tackle behind the line by Kevin Joe Bird stopped the rally and gave the ball back to the Tigers. In the second quarter, the Tigers became white hot. To start off the fireworks, Keller hit Boyle on a 55-yard pass. This combination would become a favorite for Tiger fans and a big headache to opposing coaches as the season progressed. 2 plays later, Sterling LeBranch plunges in for a 2-yard TD to give the Tigers a 14-point lead. Fowler converts. Late in the second quarter, Raynell Brown picks off an Abramson pass to set up another Tiger TD. On the next play, Keller hit Sean Boyle 72 yards downfield to give the Tigers a 21-point lead at half. Abramson would never recover. The Commodores knew it would be a disgusting ride home, and the Tigers poured it on for the second half. Keller had a textbook night, 201 yards in the air along with 2 touchdown passes. Defensively, Derek Bogier, Elton Warren, and Chris Touchard turned in stellar performances to stop the Abramson attack. Looks like we got one in the W column. Hahnville versus Lutcher. If you were waiting to watch a pretty game, this was not it. The game was downright ugly. But it was even more ugly for the Lutcher Bulldogs. Offensively, every time the Tigers came up with a big play, there was a yellow flag on the field. Hahnville had a total of 75 yards in penalties, including 2 touchdowns called back. The Tigers also had problems holding on to the ball. We lost 2 of 4 fumbles. Lutcher got the ball rolling in the first quarter with a commanding drive deep into Tiger territory. But the drive ended when Derek Bozier recovered a fumble at the Hahnville 12. The Bulldogs would never get this close again. The Tiger defense turned up the pain. Late in the second quarter, the Tiger defense forced Lutcher to punt from their own 7-yard line. On the play, a personal foul was called on a frustrated Bulldog. This gave Hahnville great field position. A few plays later, Keller sneaked in for the score. This put the Tigers ahead. With seconds remaining in the first half, the sputtering Lutcher offense was still trying to make something happen. And happen it did. When it rains, it pours. Trent Trish grabbed the Bulldog pass and glided 60 yards into the end zone. This gave the Tigers a 14-point lead at half. But the second half was no different. Hahnville's defense shut down Lutcher completely. Derek Bozier, Chris Touchard, and Carlos Vallon led the Tigers in tackles. In the fourth quarter, Joe Falla added 3 points on a 36-yard field goal. Final score 17-0. Tigers win again. Hahnville versus Destrehan. Key turnovers, controversial officiating, and costly errors on both sides of the ball made this game a fan's dream. The parish championship had lived up to the hype. For the second week in a row, Hahnville had problems holding on to the ball. 7 fumbles in all that night. But Hahnville had no problem in moving the ball. The Wildcats took advantage of turnovers first. They hit pay dirt midway through the first quarter. Hahnville responded with a drive of their own. Working their way into Destrehan territory, a few plays later, Sterling LeBranch powered in for a TD. On the following possession, Chris Touchard recovered a Wildcat fumble and gave Hahnville a shot at the lead. The Tigers capitalized on the turnover. LeBranch once again scored from a few yards out. The Tigers led 12-7 at half, a lead which they would never relinquish. The second half was frustrating to the Hahnville offense. They continued to move the ball up and down the field, and they continued to cough it up deep in Wildcat territory. But the Tiger defense contained. But late in the fourth quarter, the Wildcat offense came to life and drove down to the Hahnville 1-yard line. It was gut check time, and Hahnville passed the test with flying colors. On a 4th down at the 1, Trent Trish stepped up to bat a pass down. The Tigers took over. After failing to make a first down, Hahnville elected to take a safety to avoid losing on a blocked punt. Destrehan began their final drive, a drive which was aided by a controversial interference call on an Elton Ward interception. The penalty gave Destrehan one more shot, but the clock and Hahnville's Purple Haze defense prevailed. Another one bites the dust. Hahnville versus Mandeville. The Tigers won the toss and proceeded to drive the ball downfield. Sean Boyle pulled down the catch to keep the drive alive. And then Donnie Fauché showed some nice footwork of his own. Joe Falla nailed a 19-yard field goal to give the Tigers a 3-point lead. On the next series, Raynell Brown blocks a skipper punt. It takes special people to play special teams. Several series later, Mandeville found itself once again in punting position. Raynell Brown blocks another one, and the Tigers are sitting pretty. On the very next play, Corey Joseph coasted into the end zone for an easy 6 points. Special teams and the Purple Haze gave the Skippers more headaches on the next series. That's right, folks. It's punting time again, and the Tigers are on his doorstep. 3 plays later, the K&B Keller to Boyle connection, your one-stop shop for touchdowns, lit the board up again on a 37-yard touchdown pass. 3 plays later, Trent Trish steals a pass from Mandeville as the Haze begins to flex some muscles of their own. After a change of possessions, Elton Ward forced a fumble and Tiger Chris Touchard grabbed the ball. On the next play, Donnie Fauché pounds his way into the end zone from 10 yards out. The Skippers were headed for stormy seas, and the second half started the sinking of the ship. The Skippers in punting formation once again, or was it SOS formation? Trent Trish blocked the kick. A few plays later, Falla nailed another field goal. Hahnville's defense continued to dominate for the rest of the game. Rumor has it that each Mandeville player had to pay the toll on the Causeway Bridge to get home. Another win for Hahnville. Hahnville versus Ponchatoula. Hahnville went to war and took no prisoners. Offensively, the Tigers moved the ball and scored points. Defensively, Hahnville punished the Greenies and forced turnovers. Ron Killer started it off for the Tigers, taking it in from 27 yards out. Ponchatoula tied the score, but not for long. Keller hit Sean Boyle, who took it in from 49 yards. Goodbye, Ponchatoula. The Greenies fumbled on the next play, and Fowler punched in 3 points from 32 yards out. On Hahnville's first 2 possessions in the second half, the Tigers scored 2 touchdowns. It was low tide for the Greenies and high tide for Hahnville. Bring on the district. Hahnville versus Central Lafourche. This one is for bragging rights. Central Lafourche struck first. The Trojans took an opening kickoff and drove down the field 68 yards. The drive was capped by a 20-yard touchdown run. But Hahnville answered on their first play from the line of scrimmage. Ron Keller hit Sean Boyle on a 67-yard touchdown pass. On defense, the Tigers were hitting hard, rushing the Trojan quarterback and forcing them to punt. But a fumble on the Tiger 5 gave the ball and the lead back to Central Lafourche. Hahnville got the ball back and drove down 60 yards for their second score. LeBranch took it in from 8 yards out. Later, in the second quarter, Carlos Blond swiped a Trojan pass and set up a JoJo Fowler field goal to give the Tigers a 17-14 lead. On the next possession, the Tigers were on the roll again when Keller hit Boyle on a nice pass, but a fumble on the next play killed the drive. On the last play of the half, Chris Touchard picked off a Trojan pass as time ran off the clock. In the second half, the Trojans tied the score in the third quarter after a fumble recovery. Keller and Boyle retaliated, though, with another long pass. But the officials claimed Boyle stepped out of bounds, but it didn't matter, because 3 plays later, Sterling LeBranch scooted him from 12 yards out. The Tigers were on top, 24-17. The Purple Haze turned on the steam. But late in the fourth quarter, the Trojans drove down the field on a textbook example of the 2-minute offense drill. With 14 seconds left in the game, the Trojans hit pay dirt and put the game into overtime. After 3 tries in overtime, Central Lafourche kicked a field goal to take the lead, 27-24. Now it was the Tigers' turn. After 3 tries in a field goal attempt, Hahnville did not score. Final score, Central Lafourche 27, Tigers 24. It was a tough loss, but the Tigers still knew they had a shot at the playoffs.
I felt the turning point in our season, believe it or not, was the Central Lafourche game. Although it ended up as a loss in overtime, we gained confidence. From that point on, we became a team with confidence. We knew we could play with the big boys. And I felt for the rest of the year, we proved that.
Hahnville versus Assumption. It was homecoming in Napoleonville, but for the Mustangs, maybe the dance was better than the game. The Purple Haze defense shut down the Mustangs completely, dominating the game at the line of scrimmage. Hahnville's goal rush offense passed for 137 yards and rushed for another 227. Sean Boyle got the first score from 15 yards out. Sterling LeBranch started up another Tiger drive with a nifty run, and Corey Joseph took it in for 6 on the following play. The Assumption offense continued to get crushed. Following a booming homecoming 4-yard punt, Hahnville took possession, and Corey Joseph took it in for 6. The Tigers led by 21 points. Trent Trish stole a pass to frustrate the Mustangs even more. Second half action. In the third quarter, after several controversial, unsportsmanlike conduct calls against the Tigers, on 3rd and 45, Ron Keller hit his favorite target, Sean Boyle for 6 points and the icing on the cake. It was glue factory time for the Mustangs. Final score, Hahnville 28, Assumption nothing. Another win for the Tigers. Hahnville versus South Lafourche. South Lafourche dominated Hahnville in the first half with their ball control offense and a stingy defense. The Tarpons were winning the battles at the line of scrimmage. South Lafourche drove 69 yards in 12 plays for a touchdown after receiving the opening kickoff. Eric Lafont scored from 2 yards out. The Tarpons then got a 2-point conversion on a fake kick. South Lafourche took the lead and dug in deep. Late in the third period, Hahnville's goal rush offense woke up. The Tigers drove down the field 79 yards in 10 plays. Joseph ran hard, and Boyle chipped in with a key first down catch. A few plays later, LaBranche plunged in for the touchdown. Hahnville went for 2 and got it. The score was tied. The battle became even more physical. And then, with 7:41 remaining in the game, Sean Boyle turned a routine pattern into a spectacular 61-yard game-winning touchdown. Tarpons retaliated with a drive of their own, reaching the Hahnville 35 before Chris Touchard intercepted a pass and sealed the Tigers' 7th victory of the season. Hahnville versus Thibodaux. Coming into the Thibodaux game, Hahnville's record was 7-1 overall. A win over Thibodaux would keep the Tigers in the district title race and at the doorstep of the playoffs. But this game would be a defensive battle fought in the trenches. After lackluster tries by both offenses, Hahnville special teams jump-started the scoreboard when Raynell Brown blocked a punt for a safety. Thibodaux answered late in the second quarter with a short drive and settled for 3 points after the Hahnville Purple Haze defense shut their offense down. The score was 3-2 at halftime. Early in the third quarter, the Tigers punted, and Donald Harry, with a few nice moves, took it in for 6 points. Thibodaux went for the 2-point conversion and got it. The score was now 11-2. Later in the third quarter, Hahnville's offense came to life. Sterling LaBranche worked the Tigers down the field and set up a killer to Sean Boyle touchdown. The K&B connection had struck once again. Fowler converted the PAT, but the Tigers were still behind 11-9. It was crunch time. Thibodaux mounted a drive of their own. They worked downfield, eventually scoring a touchdown and eating some valuable time away from the clock. The Hahnville offense stalled and gave the ball back. Thibodaux's ball control offense ran the clock down to 7 seconds. The Tigers would get one last shot with a Hail Mary pass. But Thibodaux intercepted. Final score, Thibodaux 18, HHS 9. HHS for South Terrebonne. It was time to take a ride down to the swamp. Hahnville needed a win to get into the playoffs. South Terrebonne needed a bulldozer to stop the Tigers. Sterling LaBranche, Corey Joseph, and Donnie Fauché must have thought they were at a track meet. LaBranche led all rushers with a 110-yard game. And as usual, the Tiger defense skull-dragged the Gators all night long. Hahnville would not be denied. The Tigers won it 34-14, no contest, and everyone who rode the bus got in the game. On to the playoffs. Bring on Sanamon. Hahnville versus Sanamon. The Tigers were in as a wild card. Sanamon was undefeated. The District 6 Quad A champs. And the Gators were also ranked 4th in the state. But tonight would be Sanamon's first and last loss of the season. This game belonged to the Tigers. Hahnville moved the ball early, driving into Gator territory until coughing the ball up. Defensively, the Tigers were dominating. Sandoval couldn't buy a first down. The Gators were forced to punt from their own 5-yard line. Sean Boyle returned it 28 yards to set up a touchdown. Donnie Fauché powered in for the score. The Tigers were on top. Sandoval was intimidated by the haze. Offensively, they showed no signs of life at all. After a Gator fumble, Hahnville got on the roll again. Keller drove the Tigers downfield, and Donnie Fauché hit pay dirt once again. The Tigers were up 14-0. The rest of this half became sack time for Jason Williams and the Gators. In the third quarter, Hahnville got cooking when Donnie Fauché scored again, but the touchdown was called back because of a holding call. That's okay, because Trent Trish stole a Sandoval pass, and the Tigers drove it in. Sterling LeBranch scored from 1 yard out. Early in the fourth quarter, Sandoval hit pay dirt. The Gators regained possession on an onside kick, but on first down, Raynell Brown intercepted a Gator pass and ran 53 yards down the sideline for a touchdown. It was the icing on the cake. Defensively, Elton Ward and Derek Bourget had exceptional games. On offense, Donnie Fauché and Ron Keller led the way. The Purple Haze held Sandoval to 32 yards rushing, while Hahnville's offense rolled up 268 yards on the ground. The Tigers looked great. The road to the Superdome takes you to a lot of different places. This week it was Lafayette, Louisiana, the heart of Coonass country, to take on the Acadiana Rams. The game started in typical Tiger fashion. Raynell Brown blocked the Rams' first punt, but Hahnville failed to capitalize. Hahnville did score in the second quarter when Ron Keller hit Sean Boyle on a 46-yard touchdown pass. The point after was blocked. Acadiana struck back and took a 7-6 lead at halftime. In the second half, Chris Touchard kept the drive alive on a fake punt. The Tigers kept on moving down the field and scored again when Keller passed to Carlos McCoy for a 29-yard touchdown. Hahnville went for two but failed. The Tigers led 12-7. After a roughing the kicker penalty, the Rams were able to drive down the field and score again. The score was now 13-12. Hahnville started up the 2-minute offense and drove down the field. With 5 seconds left from the Ram 21, Hahnville went for the winning field goal. Final score, Acadiana 13, Hahnville 12.
Probably the low point of our season was the fact that we lost to Acadiana. Myself and my coaches felt we were better than Acadiana. We lost the game by 1 point. It's a game we really shouldn't have lost. I don't know how far we would have gone in the playoffs, would have been interesting to find out.
Hahnville finished the season with a 9-3 record. The 1989 Tiger football squad reestablished a winning tradition with pride, class, dominance, and a determination to never say die.
If I had to describe our season in one word, the word would be excitement. I feel this year our football team brought back excitement into the community. Derek Bourget, a tremendous competitor, one of the hardest working players on the team. Elton Ward, a fierce hitter, someone who never says die. Sean T.D. Barrow. Throw it to him, he catches it, it's 7 points. Carlos Pallone, our quarterback on defense, makes all the calls. Trent Trish, 7 interceptions for forcing IR patrol. James Dawson came back after an injury to become a fantastic player for us. Has really grown up. Brian Keller, a team leader, one of the major reasons for our success. Adam LeBoer, one of the finest people I've ever met. One of the most energetic players I've ever seen. Always comes to play. Raynell Brown, the fastest player on the team and our best special teams player. Chris Touchard, one of the toughest players on the team. 5'7" man. Sterling LaBranch, a player who gives everything he has, doesn't mind playing with pain. Gilbert Bustamante was there when we needed him for field position. Corey Joseph, quickness and speed can be real good.